Today we're going to be talking about 3 different sets, including some trainer gallery cards that may be undervalued. Yeah, there could be undervalued cards currently in the market. Kind of wild to think about. But we're going to start off with Silver Tempest, and then we have some prismatic news towards the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I wanted to start off with the Lugia V. This card has continued to shoot up, even more Silver Tempest. The boxes are moving as well. Obviously, a really nice chase card from the Sword and Shield era alternate art, right? One of my favorites for sure. I really like this artwork. I get Shining Gyarados vibes with the guy in the boat, but we have continued to see this to climb up almost 50% just in the past 3 months alone. It went from 170 to 260, with the most recent sale actually surpassing the $300 mark. 330 before that. We are all seeing 270s. There was a 300 down here and a 290, but finally cracking over that 300. Lowest listed currently is below that. There's one copy at 268, and then after that, they're all 300 plus. So it looks like the Lugia is moving up to 300. When you zoom out and compare it to the alt art boom that it had in May, back here it was a $114 card at its peak, and the boom went to 227. It found a new low around 162. That was in September, and it's continued to climb ever since then. And then more recently, we've seen explosive growth on the Lugia V. Now, PSA 10 prices also starting to get spicy. Last solds on eBay, 700, 700, 680, 700, 600. There was somebody got a steal for a 420. There's a 590. So it looks kind of like, 700 probably is the new market price here on the Lugia in a PSA 10. So that also got me to think, what's the pop report looking like? You get the full art Lugia V right here, number 186, 22,000 graded with 13,000 in a PSA 10. So this is near Moonbryon numbers-ish for PSA 10 copies, but obviously a much cheaper card. Although Lugia, a very popular Pokemon, I do think in this bull market that there is room to run for Lugia and Silver Tempest moving forward. 7,009s, 1,008s, and 1 PSA 1. Whoever has that PSA 1, that's funny. The boxes are continuing to move as well, right? These were a little bit above MSRP 3 months ago at 160. It was available on the Pokemon Center for a while too, and after that sold out, we saw the prices start to move even more. They shot up into the 180s, 190s, and now we're seeing 245 market, right? Last solds are pretty much at 250, just a little bit above that. 247, and you got 250, 250, 250. There's some 240s in here, but around 250 per box. And it's kind of reflected here in lowest listed from starred sellers. You do have a 248, but then after that, it goes up to 250. I would be interested to see what page 2 looks like, just for, page 2 starts to get into the $275 mark. So that's something to think about. 125 boxes sold in the last month alone. If we zoom out on the 1 year, 90% growth. A year ago, these were, looks like the low was 127. Now, for potentially some undervalued trainer gallery cards, we're in the rise of the illustration rare. I feel like we're in the rise of the trainer gallery cards starting to get a little more properly valued in this market. And I think that in this set, it has just two that are maybe still a little undervalued, and I realize that they're up 70%, so I get how it comes off saying this, but I do think that there's room on the Blaziken VMAX. Popular enough Pokemon has an alternate art as well. You got the trainer holding on for dear life. I do like this card a lot. In the past 3 months, it did go from 8 to about 15, so almost doubling in price. But when you compare it to some of the other trainer gallery cards, even some of the ones that aren't like at the top that are just under, it does make sense that there is potentially some room to run on these. Lowest listed for an English copy from a starred seller is actually $20, which would be well above this market price, but maybe you can find one on eBay somewhere else. The 1 year chart, we're not to the alt art boom on this card, which that $20 would be, right? So that's the previous high for this card. We have seen a lot of trainer gallery cards eclipse these old highs, so that's kind of why I say that. I also like the V as well to a lesser extent. Obviously, the V Max I think is a better art, but this one is fun. And once again, this card is up 50%, so take this with a grain of salt, right? This card went from 820 up to about 14. Most recent sales are, there is a $20, two, three, four $20 sales, and lowest listed is, we got to do the math here. What is this, like $16, and then about 20. So it looks like this one's shooting up to 20. So maybe if you can pick up the V Max for 20, that's better, considering the V's going up to 20 is kind of what it looks like. This card did run up as well. It ran up to 14 before, and it's pretty much at this old high. So that's kind of a good sign. So yeah, maybe potentially some trainer gallery cards that have some room to move. Obviously, from Silver Tempest, this one's leading the way. I feel like it kind of changes your view of Silver Tempest now. When you look at this set now, when you have the Lugia, this is a $100 card now. Most recent sales, there is a 85 sale, but we got 120, 80, 100, 100, 100. So lowest listed, just under 100. So we'll call this just under 100 if it cracks 100, which you would think it would, being a Rayquaza. You have your Lugia as the big chase card, and then you got a number 2 Rayquaza. I feel like that changes people's views on the set just a little. Money will do that, right? The monetary value associated with this card can change the outlook on the set a little bit. And if those Blazikins can pop up just a little, I think that makes the set bode a little bit better as well. Let me know if you guys agree in the comments. I don't know. Maybe I'm just coming out of left field on this one, but I do like this card a lot as well. This wasn't supposed to be super about this card. We've touched on this recently, but it did eclipse the old highs by a lot, right? 50 was the old high from the alt art boom. But yeah, 30 to pretty much 100. Only 39 copies listed for the Rayquaza. I also wanted to talk about Obsidian Flames. We talked about this in the live stream last night, but I just wanted to address it again. Booster boxes are at 175. So, and not everyone was able to catch the live, so that's why we're going to talk about it again. Booster boxes are at 175. The lowest listed from starred sellers is 175. They are matching that market price. So, one of those sets that was not as good, was not regarded as very good, Charizard Fatigue, blah, 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 blah. We're also going to talk about some other cards that are probably potentially undervalued in this set. They're not trainer galleries, but yeah, 40% growth in the past 3 months from 120 up to 170. It's looking like, too, we have some news from Pokemon that we'll talk about at the end regarding reprints. And this set probably not going to get reprinted with that news coming out. And potentially probably wasn't going to get reprinted anyways. But you never say never. You don't know. If we zoom out here, though, a year ago, this was a $90 box, 86% growth. But let's talk about the other. When you start to look at the illustration rares, once again, if you were in the stream, I do apologize because we're touching over a few things. This card is up. The Ninetales is a stunning card. It's continuing to climb right now. It's up, almost 100% in the past 3 months. But when you play the comparison game to some of the other illustration rares, some of the other prices, you could see and you could make an argument how this is an undervalued card, right? At $25, 22 was 11, 12 back here for a long time, right? That doesn't, it could have just been undervalued. The set was being looked at differently because the boxes were cheaper, right? Lowest listed is 20, which would be below market right now. After that, if we go to page 2, to check out starred seller, you're at 23, which is market. So one seller selling it a little bit less. We'll see where it shakes out. Obviously, pretty good looking growth here. It was a very cheap back here, $5-6. Shot up to 12, came back down to 10, and now we're seeing in the 20s. Really, this is one of those cards that's really stunning in person. Once again, illustration rares doing really well. And then when you start to look at this set, and it's going up, this is another card I really like from the set. Not as popular of a Pokemon, I do understand, but artwork-wise, the Gloom is a really great illustration rare. And we've seen some of those less nice art, less popular Pokemon, the illustration rares, popping into the $20, $30 range. Sometimes maybe 20, 25. Not some of them in the 30s. It does depend. But the Gloom, I think, is another card that I do think still has some potential, even though it's up 80%. I am acknowledging that in this market things are crazy. It's kind of wild to say this card's up 80% and there could be some potential there. Once again, I get it, but it went from $6 up to 12. Right here was the low at 660. If we zoom out, this card has a very nice looking chart, a lot healthier. 324%, just slowly climbing over time. It was a $2 card a year ago on the Gloom, and so this is at 1176. Lowest listed is pretty much around that price at 1183. Now you compare this card to the Cleffa, not saying that this is not a nice card, but for me, I like the Gloom more. This card's already at 16 bucks, so that would indicate to me that the Gloom has some room to run. It's up 113%, went from 8 to like 16, 17. Last solds are pretty much aligning with in the 18s, even a $25 sale. Another hard to grade illustration rare. Lowest listed is 17 from a starred seller, which would put it a little bit above market. So for me, not that this is not a nice card, I've seen it in person, looks great, but I go, oh man, the Gloom could be up to that price. The Gloom could be up to $18 or $17 or surpassing. So just another thing to look at for illustration rare cards. Then we were also talking about Crown Zenith recently, and yeah, things have moved quickly on Crown Zenith as well. We are seeing elite trainer boxes up to the $90 range for Crown Zenith. 68% gains from 50 up to 90. Lowest listed is $90 with $7 shipping, so that would put it up to 97. Crown Zenith ETBs are slowly nearing to $100. Last sold, there is an 82 sale here, but before that, 90. This one has a tear, 95, 95, a 110. Someone sold one for 50. There have been 100 sales as well. So once again, this is going to tail off into the news towards the end of the video about them printing more prismatic. Crown Zenith likely done with the Sea and Sky boxes. Speaking of, these have shot up as well. These are over $100 now. Last sold's 110, 90, 105, 95. Lowest listed on this is 110. 110 and 110 as the lowest two starred sellers. 25% growth. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the wrong box. This is the Zacian box. I do apologize. I had the wrong one pulled up. But this is 11 packs. Sorry. This is seeing some good growth as well. I'll pull up the Sea and Sky is what I meant to pull up. But still, those boxes have been around for a while longer. Now, Sea and Sky. Okay, here we're at. Sea and Sky boxes. We're going to just take off the photos here so we can see the prices. Sea and Sky boxes have also cracked 100. Sorry. 100, 100, 100, right? Now, when you do the math on these, you got 14 packs, so a little bit more than the other box. So 100 divided by 14, that's still 714 per pack. I do understand that that's high, and this one's up 60%, but Sea and Sky box is obviously up as well. Lowest listed is over 100. Sorry, I had the wrong one pulled up, but kind of the same thing applies. There's more packs in this one. So Sea and Sky starting to get expensive. I was just talking about how these were like back right here just a few days ago in the 80s. I thought this was a much better buy. Crown Zenith is honestly a top tier set though. These are big, hard to store, so I do get it, but we're seeing the Sea and Sky boxes start to go up. Singles prices continuing to rise on Crown Zenith as well. We're going to touch on Crown Zenith and then go over to some news here in a second. But the gold Giratina continuing to rise. 3 months ago, this was under 100. It just went up to like 190, came back down 193 to 191, and now it's obviously surpassed 200 raw. PSA 10 prices, I don't have it pulled up, but last solds I've been seeing fairly consistently around the $500 mark. Last solds for raw on TCG, 200, 205, 210, 195, and even a 220 sale. So that looks fairly accurate. 42 copies available. Lowest listed, 212 and up for a near mint copy. When you compare this is another one of those charts that when I start to look at the chart, I go, ooh, this looks really good. Because this was a $76, $75 card. The Alt Art Boom pushed it up to almost 140, came back down to a new high of 95 over the old, a higher low of 95 over, 75 back here. And then obviously the bull market pushing that Giratina even higher. But when you start to look at this set, then you have the Mewtwo continuing to climb $125 on the Mewtwo fighting Charizard, 117% growth from 55 up to 120s. Last solds, there's a few lower, 111s, some 110s, 120s, 111s, even a 150 sale and a 145 sale. Lowest listed on this guide for in English, these are all Japanese. It is a little bit less than market. We're looking at 111. So that would be a little bit under market, but matching the most recent prices. You look at this one, this is another one absolutely eclipsing the previous run up to 70. Went from 40 to 70, came back down to 50, and then obviously absolutely blowing up. I feel like these are going to continue, especially with like potentially Crown Zenith being done. They printed so much of this set for so long, it seems like, and it was so cheap. And once that supply really finally gets eaten up, is when you really see things run, and you amplify that in a bull market. We even have the Arceus being over $100 again, over 120, pretty much at the Mewtwo price. These gold cards are really stunning in person if you haven't seen them. A month ago, this was 80. Now we're up to 120, so $40 gain just in a month on this guy. Lowest listed is 125 right here, and last solds have been a little under that. You got 110s and then a few 120s here, so it'll be interesting to see where this shakes out. But some of the cards that have me possibly more excited from this, the Leafeon and the Glaceon and the legendary dogs. Prismatic obviously going to do its thing, pull its weight here, and lift some of these evolutions up. When you start to look at how expensive those are, they go, well, what are the other evolutions that are out there? Well, this guy's up 75% in the past 3 months. It went from 25 up to in the 40s, $43. Last sold, you're going to see that reflected here. Low to mid 40s across the board, with one as high as 50 for a raw copy. Lowest listed, mid 40s from starred sellers. We do the same thing. We look at the chart. Had the alt art run up to 40, so we are about to surpass that price, which I do think that this has the ability to surpass that price, right? It did set a higher low up into the 20s. Stunning, nice looking Leafeon. You also have the Glaceon up 75%, similar story, right? $22 up to low to mid 40s. Last solds are going to reflect that. There is a few higher 30s and as high as 51 on the last solds. The lowest listed from Little Root Games, starred seller, is 42, which would be pretty much just a tinge under market currently for the Glaceon. The 1 year chart's looking like this. Once again, we're right back to the peak that we saw before. So if Prismatic comes out and those pull rates continue to be brutal, which it really looks like they're going to, we could see these continue to surpass these old highs. Also with Crown Zenith sealed product going up, being less available, that's going to be a contributing factor as well. Then you have these amazing artworks of the legendary dogs. The Entei is actually not really going up because I feel like the artwork, people just don't appreciate it quite as much. You got the Suicune up almost 100% from 20 to 40. I mean, look at these last solds. You got mid to high 30s, and then it cracks 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 42. Lowest listed is you got a 38 here, and then after that it does go back up into the 40s. For the Suicune, stunning looking card. This one has surpassed the old high of 30 by quite a bit, obviously being at 40, so that's looking good there. Looks like a nice healthy card. Then we have the Raikou. It's up 35%, not as big of a jump, but this is another one of those absolutely stunning cards, I feel, in my opinion. 3 months ago this was $20, and now we're seeing 28. Not the biggest gain comparatively to some of these cards, but it has eclipsed this old high by a lot of 23. So this card has already blown past that. Lowest listed is around 28. Market seems to accept that price. Now, the last few things to touch on. We talked about this a lot in the live stream. I'm not affiliated with Rare Candy in any way, shape, or form. I don't get anything from them. I don't get an affiliate. I don't get anything. I'm just trying to, just giving some information out, right? Just wanted to caveat that. These are about to drop, probably might have already dropped after this video goes up, but they are releasing the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th at MSRP, limit 1 per person, so you will have chance to get this release morning as well, and Saturday. It'll show your local time up here. For me, it's 9 a.m., which, like I said, most likely this one might have already eclipsed, but Rare Candy, right, they're doing a drop of Prismatic. So hopefully you guys, it can help get your chances to get a regular ETB. But that also tails into this. Now, this is an announcement Pokemon made. You can check, it's on their Instagram, I believe. This was a post, you can check it out. They're talking about, they finally addressed, it's funny, Pokerev made a video and then they did this. So, they're saying, we're sorry that it's so hard. Essentially, they said that they're going to work actively to print more of the impacted Pokemon TCG products as quickly as possible. so that people can get more prismatic. Essentially, they said they're going to crank up the printers. This I feel like is kind of interesting because I feel like with kind of where the market's been more recently, that I feel like they would have already been at maximum printing capacity, but maybe I'm mistaken on that. And maybe they do have more capabilities to print more, but they have acknowledged more prismatic. They will be reprinting more prismatic. So that tails into talking about Obsidian, talking about other sets. If they were going to potentially reprint some other sets, does that bump some other sets out of the reprint potential, like maybe Obsidian, and prismatic gets printed more heavily, like we've seen with Crown Zenith? Now, obviously, Crown Zenith going up. So in theory, depending on still the demand, because they might not still be able to meet demand, something to think about as well. Like maybe it's not possible, but they're going to keep printing it. So in theory, you should be able to get this product. You're going to have to just maybe wait. Everyone should be able to open it. I agree. So, I hope they print a lot of it. Maybe the pull rates will be better in the reprints. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, that's all we have for this one. Just wanted to. We ended with some prismatic news. Talked about some stuff that's moving. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, no, we'll address it later. I got something to address tomorrow. I forgot. I'm supposed to do it in this video. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never phase.